Hey, fellow competitor dreamers, welcome to our episode 12 in our Dreaming to Compete series. How persistence leads college football players to the NFL. How can we be persistent and work hard to achieve anything in life? In this amazing conversation with college football player Eli Jones, we dive deep into how we can make our dreams come true by getting 1% better daily, competing against ourselves, not against others. Listen to the full conversation to learn more from the path to success from Eli to see how you can make your dreams come true, and let us know what resonated with you.
It's great to have you in the Dreaming to Compete podcast.
Hey, it's a great confirmation to be on here. When you hit me up about the podcast, I was definitely fired up, ready to get going.
Awesome. So, Dreaming to Compete podcast. Well, what that means is that we all have a dream, right? We all have a dream, and if we don't, it should be good to get a dream just to give us a purpose, give us a goal to get us focused and make the best version of ourselves. And how we can do that, how we can accomplish our dreams is by competing to be the best versions of ourselves, competing to be better than yesterday, and competing with others, not against others, because competition is like with others, it can get the
Yeah,
best out of you.
definitely. Feel like competing at impact definitely it's a difference when you're competing against you. Of course, you should do that on a daily, but when you're at impact and you're around superior athletes and you're not competing against somebody, but you're competing with somebody. Like, can you give me your best every rep, and we can get better together? I think it sets you up for a performance, a good performance.
Of course. And so to start off, what is a dream for you?
So a dream for me is like, really, I would say I'm pushing dream is financial stability, but to set that up to get to that prize or to go to there is you got to go to a process. And my dream is like getting to the NFL or getting a pro recognition of a football player as an athlete, because this is my craft. That's what I've done my career. And again, football is not me, because again, I'm more than football and I have a purpose in life, but I just feel like that's my dream, in the sense, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you know how people have that dream of, oh, I want to be drafted, or I want to make it to the league, or I just want to be a pro and I want to be, I want my respect as a professional athlete. And then I'll go from there with my purpose and just involvement in life.
Of course. So how have you gone? How is your path on that dream?
So, everybody's path is different. So I would say my path on this dream, it started out in high school. Well, really, it started young. I played football and basketball since I was young. When I started in high school, getting to high school, I started out as linebacker. I was like 5'8", 250. I'm thinking I'm not going to grow. I get to like my junior year, I'm already 6'2", 240. And then I pick back up weight. And then I get to like 6'5", my senior year, 260. But I tear both knees. I get a partial meniscus tear in my left knee and a partial MCL tear. Just in practice, just football stuff. Still finish out the season, play like 7 games. Coming out of high school, it was during COVID time, so the recruitment was a slow process. Um, so I wasn't getting recruited heavily for my dream. So I'm like, okay, so how am I going to fight adversity here in this situation and adapt? So rugby came about, which is like a more of a European sport, football with no pads. I'm like, okay, I could try it. You feel me? I can adapt. So I go into rugby, I try it. I'm a stud at it. UGA comes calling. We end up, the high school team I was playing for, we end up going to South Carolina, Tennessee, dominating, getting flown out to Kansas City, losing in the national game. But I got the recognition for it. But again, I just felt like rugby wasn't me. It was something I could adapt to quick. It was a good sport that was really there for me when I needed it. But I feel like it wasn't me. So I jumped back on the path trying to get recruited for football. Mind you, this is like the May season. We're almost at fall camp in August. So I get in contact with coaches. I end up getting in contact with a coach in Virginia, University of Lynchburg, shoot out there for my freshman debut at D-line football. And then we playing 5D1s, 5D2s, low major HBCUs. Decent school, but just not a sustainable program for me. So after that season, I transferred out of Lechburg, which just wasn't a good fit. Transfer, looking for opportunity. Fort Valley comes calling, which is great for me. I'm like, oh yeah, Georgia Cat, HBCU, I'm loving it. Then Erskine comes calling, so I'm taking trips to South Carolina. I'm in contact with Jackson State at the time. Deion's there. Everything happens for a reason, and God's put me in this position. So, just still chasing my dream. I landed at Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte, which coming from Coach Flowers, who was at Fort Valley. He made the initiative to move to his alma mater and get the head coach. And he called me like, yeah, we still need big guys in the trenches. And I just came and got to work. Getting at Johnson C. Smith and just us really getting the foundation. Me and my guys that came in the class with me, we're like the foundation of the school. So it's just good, when you're chasing something, how we said we spoke on building with somebody and competing with somebody. We competed with each other, and we're going to the top. And right now, we're the number one defense in Division II. So it's just paying off with the foundation. So if you put in the work, you can really do anything you want to do.
So how was that adaptability of like going from one school to the other one?
So the adaptability is really, I would say, first you got to have the attitude, and then second you got to just be open, man. You got to be transparent enough to have those uncomfortable conversations with either a coach or a teammate or even a friend, a peer, whether that's either lock in or just get right so we can compete it together. So I feel like when you have that family bond and you guys are both all accountable on the team, and it's just your room to just your growth is going to go up just because of the way you guys carry yourself if you're family oriented and just team led, player led teams. And then being able to adapt is just simply, I feel like that's just my background. Like I felt like whatever I was going to do in life, I just wanted to be good at it, or I wanted to be respectable at my craft or whatever I put it. So I just feel like if you want to be able to adapt, just put in the work and you'll blend right in with whoever you want to blend in with.
So like that adaptability, it took you from football to rugby with still having the same goal, the same dream in mind, but just as a stepping stone.
Correct. So I used it as more of a stepping stone, especially when the coach Delaretto was referring to like I could get on at UGA's rugby team and then try to transition towards football, or just using the crafts that rugby taught me. So like just being more physical, tackling lower, etc. Just more skills and crafts that it helped me. But again, realizing my dream was football, endeavoring to be a professional athlete. So just knowing what it takes to remain at that level of a body to keep performing at a high level.
So how did it help you learning those different skills?
How did it help me? So for example, like we have scrums, and like scrums, you got to just stay low. Like you get the ball, and mind you, I'm the anchor. So I'm getting in, I'm staying low. We getting the ball out the scrum, and then we're just, not only were those guys on that team communicative, they were very transparent with me on how I could get better, more explosive, and more physical overall in my game.
So do you think like just trying different things out actually can help us in our dream?
Most definitely. Just trying stuff out could, you can see a different perspective. And I feel like that's what life is about, just seeing a perspective. Of course, it's about what you can produce and how you perform. But when you see it from a different perspective, if you go to a different sport or you go to a lane that you're not comfortable in, you see how you can better yourself and everybody around you.
And how, like, what was the most important part during these challenges, that like the most important virtue or mindset that you had during these challenges?
I think the most important was really keeping my faith. Keeping my faith was definitely the most important. But I would say second was just knowing that you're just that guy. Like if you're confident, not confusing your confidence for arrogance. That might sound cliche, but if you're really confident in what you do and how you go about your business, I mean, you should be untouchable. I mean, realistically, if you put in the work.
Of course, because you cannot be confident if you don't put in the work. Like that's where you get arrogant. Like confidence comes from putting in the work. How did you get that confidence?
Correct. There you go. So yeah, JP, you know, at Impact, we always put in the work and just competed with one another, whether we were at Collins Hill track or even just in the weight room or just running in general. We were always lifting, competing with one another, trying to get better, running hills. Yeah, it just comes down to that because that's what you revert back to when you're in the thick of it. You revert back to the work you put in when nobody was really watching.
That's how you get more confident.
Correct. So I feel like being confident, you just go on those skills. Like when you're fatigued in a sense, you land back on those skills that you honed while you were tired training, whether it's 95 degrees or as you're in the winter and it's cold, you were training and you were working hard. That's what I feel like that's what you bounce back on.
So in those moments that you're tired and like it's 95 degrees and you're like, fuck, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go no more. Like I cannot, like my body cannot give one more rep. What's your mindset right there? How can you push through and not quit?
I feel like my mindset has actually changed because again, I said it's about perspective. So I feel like now today is you definitely really because I was more of a younger cat. I was about 18, 19-ish when I was at Impact. Today, I would say when you're fatigued, that's when you should go the hardest. Like when I'm training now and I'm fatigued, that's when you turn it up the tempo. But as a younger guy I would say my peers definitely helped me. Like if you're training with people who want to be great and they have goals, certain goals, your peers, how you compete with one another, they'll push you to just stay on 10 toes and you'll be right behind those guys just because, you know, you don't want to let anybody down. So I feel like that's how it helped me.
So it's better to train with others than just by yourself. You say that.
Sometimes you got to get that work in by yourself because it's a you versus you to get better, you know. But competing with guys is definitely better because it brings out the best in you. You don't know how fast you would have really ran if you got somebody next to you sprinting and competing with you and exerting your body, getting all 100% every rep out of you and just getting better.
And what about in those times that you're just by yourself? Why?
The times you're just by yourself, I feel like it should be more methodical. Not only should you train to get better, but you should know what you need to work on and you need to be productive and time management, timely if you get in this sense. So if I know I got to work on flipping my hips or staying square, I'm going to work on that and really break it down, like attention to detail when I'm by myself, just working and getting better. So I know I can pick up on these quick kinks or maybe possible weaknesses and just improve on them and make them strengths.
And those aspects those techniques that is hard to work by ourselves, how do you work them by yourself? Like, because let's say me in motocross, I'm trying to improve my technique, right? Like with my feet and like my elbows, my body, my core, all of that. So how do you break it down just when you're by yourself that you don't have anyone like a coach to tell you, oh, hey, fix it, move your hips like this or whatever?
I would say more so it's either mental connection, so you know how you'll be at training and the coaches will tell you something, maybe you think back to that quick motion, like, oh yeah, I need to be more square when I do this, or I need to do this. It's more so of just knowing what you need to do, and controlling what you can control. So like if I know I gotta stay square on this certain routine to make this shot, then I'm gonna do that. But really just working on it, maybe if you record yourself or I would say that, but it's like you kind of feel in the sense when you're not certain, you're not doing the certain technique to perform by yourself. So you just repetition. I would say repetition the right way. Practicing good habits is what builds it.
I got you. What about that? You said control what you can control.
Yeah.
Because what about when things come and like you're trying to control what's not under your control? How do you deal with those things?
So things that are under your control, you just have to let them abide by God. You have to control every situation. You should take advantage. Every situation you can control it now. Time is of the essence. But there is situations where it may be you can't adapt. It is uncomfortable and you can't control certain situations. A new coach, but the things that you can't control are just so petty. I feel like everything you can control is the major of it. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control how you communicate. You can control if you're tired in a sense because it's really mental. But you also got to put in the hard work. So if you put in the hard work, you can control your fatigue. You can control most of the senses that go into you trying to reach your dream or you going down this process. But it's just, can you stay persistent with that? But not being able to control something, it shouldn't even be on your mind because you can't control it at the end of the day.
What about like the results? And you control the results of your dreams?
You can. So we got like all hard work brings profit, but mere talk only leads to poverty. Proverbs 14:23. So it's like, if you genuinely put in the work behind, not for the attention, not for the likes, not for the views, not for a conversation. If you genuinely put in the hard work, your results will be there. If you just talk about it, it won't show. So I feel like how we spoke on earlier here, if you put in the hard work, you're going to be confident in everything you should be able to do. You don't really even got to talk about it. Your work should show. So I feel like hard work is definitely, that's how you get results. So if you put in the work, if you're bench pressing and you're squatting and you're running and you're doing everything you could do and you're most importantly eating right, you could, man, the sky's the limit. You could do it all.
Hard work. What do we need to put in the hard work as athletes, as individuals with a dream? You said nutrition important, right? So what else?
For hard work, so nutrition is important. Not only nutrition, I would say nutrition is number one. Your body is your temple. Guys, athletes out there, your body is your temple. Number two, I would say mental state. Keep a good mental, man. If you're not happy what you're doing, like if you think it's a sport, man, it's your dream. You should love what you do. So if you're treating it like work, I see certain guys here, even in college, they treat it like work. It shouldn't be treated like work. It should be just treated like you just love to do it. It's just something to do it. Another day, let's go. Let's get better. You know what I'm saying? But love to do it. Nutrition, keep your body right, and again, just prepare. Like weight lifts, run, be in shape. Everything you know what you need to really do to be at that mode, that standard that you guys have. So I would just say, those things, all of those things, you'd be good.
For nutrition, right? What's essential to have a good nutrition?
For me, I would just say protein, carbs, and again, you got to have your greens. Definitely got to have your greens, but just depends on your sport. You got to have carbs before you exert your energy, and then protein to just keep your muscle on you, and then your veggies they keep you strong. All greens keep you strong.
Bet. That's good. So, other than artwork, what is essential to make those dreams come true?
The mentality, man. People say you got to be delusional, like you got to have a diabolical, maniacal, like crazy man delusion. Like I already know I'm finna be in the NFL with these guys soon, or I already know I'm finna be playing soccer with Ronaldo soon. Messi's about to be my teammate. Like you got to really believe what you're about to achieve, put in the hard work, and then it'll be yours soon. Like manifesting and almost premeditating, but you got to really have a delusion to what you about to do. And I feel like the results come true.
Like you feeling it that it's actually you're there. Like that it's actually gonna work.
Like you there, like you know what's about to go down. You know what type of season you about to perform with and how you going to produce and bring to the table. And then you just know like those, even though, they're looked at as famous or just, professional athletes in a sense. You feel like those are just your peers because you go, if you're blessed enough, you go and you work out with highly talented individuals throughout your process, and then you just feel like you're one of one. You're superior with the rest. So I just feel like it kind of comes down to delusion almost. If you believe it, you can achieve it.
If you believe it, you can achieve it. There we go. And so what is your purpose? What is your purpose with this whole dream, with your life?
So I feel like football is just my stepping stone. I feel like my purpose is really to educate the peers, not just African Americans, but just the world in general. Like take it serious, man. Take your time serious. Which is why I started the PHP LLC company, Purpose, Hustle, Passion. My second year at Johnson C. Smith, started a brand, black owned business. But yeah, I just feel like, just going through the process, not rushing the process to get to the prize, but going through the process and having a good enjoyment about it, it'll lead you to your prize, your goal riches.
So tell us more about that PHP. I didn't know about that.
So PHP came about when I was talking really with my teammates and family, of course. But I developed, P is really, feel me, it's even on the hat right now, but it's just diversity around everything. Prayer is first, of course, but I have I keep it P. I stay on my P's. Prayer, priority, preparation is the key to success. Just building on that, and then me just starting my brand. It was really a clothing brand, but I'm turning it into really a diverse. I want to have everything. I want to choose everything. I want to market this to maybe even have. But again, it's just the starter up company just coming out in 2023. So end of 2023. So yeah, PHP, purpose, hustle, passion.
How is that bad? Because that's a hustle as well. Like people see it as like something like they could come easy, right? But then it's just like football, like another thing by itself that is super hard and it also has its hard work. How do you deal with both of them at the same time?
So those is really just time management. I would say I handle my business first on the football side and athletic side standpoint, because that's how my tuition is being covered. So I would feel like to handle your bargains, you would need to stand on business with your academic side and your athletic standpoint, non-negotiable. And then any free time you have is just being creative and unique in a sense, and just coming up with your brand and what it means to you and what it represents in life. So just me coming up with that was just me having more extra free time within the off season and just really looking at everything in perspective and what life is. Life is really how you can produce and how you can perform. So I just took it into accountability and made my own brand with inside of it.
So how important is academics for high school students? We had just this conversation before the podcast, but you were talking about how important it was for you. They didn't even think about it. You were just thinking about your sport, your craft, but how really it's important.
I would say GP your academics are your number one, because not only knowledge is power, but you're getting looked at to be recruited heavily, especially if you're coming out of high school. They're looking at your academics and how you show up every day and what's your effort. So if you're not willing to give effort in the classroom, they assume you're not really willing to give effort on whatever your craft may be, whatever sport you play. So academics is definitely a necessity and really mandatory nowadays.
I believe I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna really show to the coaches
Correct.
how you are willing to put in the work.
Correct. How you do anything, we got that quote. How you do anything, that's how you do everything, and then everything every day. So just show up, man. Your attention to detail every day, bro. Like be consistent, be persistent. Is one may say, but yeah, just show up, give it all you can got, and just challenge yourself. Even if you are competing with peers, just if you challenge yourself, man, just beat yourself every day. You versus you 1%, just keep gaining, keep growing your stock.
1%, because I've been posting these videos of 1% better, getting 1% better every day, because it's not about like today I don't do anything and today I'm gonna like start eating like the healthiest among all of us. I'm gonna start working out like 5 hours like that. Just unrealistic, because you're gonna burn out, you're gonna don't like it, it's gonna be a challenge. But if we get 1% better every day, the compound interest over time, like it adds up. What do you think about that?
Most definitely. 1% every day is crucial, especially with athletes coming up. I feel like that's what we learn. Just making persistent progress. That's just really what it is. Like, you got to be realistic with yourself. You can't say, yeah, I'm about to do 500 squats for a year straight. You gotta, you're gonna burn out, man. You got to be realistic with yourself. So if you go do 250 squats and you can only do 200 squats the next day, you can, You just want to build off what you're doing, man, and gain 1% every day, and just try to better yourself. Try to outwork yourself harder than you did the previous day, but again, just making persistent progress is better than perfection.
It's again the same thing, competing against ourselves, just getting 1% better than the person we were yesterday.
I totally agree with you on the JP.
What about time management? You were talking about how like time management is super important. How do you manage your time with school, the PHP, football, your personal life? Because I guess you still have family, you still have a couple of friends.
Yeah. So I would say football, you got a time management. You should plan your day out the night before. But for my situation, in general, we start at like 5 a.m. for football. So we get that out the way. And then I got to double back. I got to make sure I'm still alert. That's why I say you got to plan out your day. Make sure I'm still alert, handle my academics throughout the day. And then I got meetings for football, which is, my business is my job in a sense. And then after that, I can reevaluate throughout the day on PHP, getting to skim over what I'm going to do and how I'm going to build the next pieces of clothing or what brand I'm going to initiate next, and just, being adaptable in the game. So, time management is definitely key. Just knowing what you're really doing and using your time, because, you could, movement is movement. You could be making progress, but you're not really making movement. So you really got to be attention to detail in everything you're doing. So you got to like really break it down. So if I'm studying film, I want to really lock in, focus, study film, and then when I'm done at film at a certain time, I want to really lock in a certain on my brand, PHP, and how I'm going to build on it next.
So multitasking is not a thing.
It is, but it's not, because you really want to be attention to detail in a sense.
It'll be focused. So what do you mean with you can make progress but not movement?
So you can make progress, and you can think you're making progress, but not really movement. So you could really, like, say you're watching film, right, and you're a defensive lineman, or you're even a receiver, or I can even revert it to soccer. Say you're watching film on soccer and you're watching the way the guy brings the ball up the field, but you're not really watching his footwork and how he's bringing it up the field. You could be watching the film, but you're not really breaking it down to your key points, like the key GOATs like Kobe, Michael Jordan. All the GOATs who watch film, they really break it down in necessity to improve on their either previous mistakes or just build on anything and capitalize and again adapt to be a superior athlete. So I just feel like attention to detail is almost everything, looking at it from perspective.
So just the focus, where you put in the focus and putting attention to details is what's gonna get you movement.
Right. Which makes you, elite in a sense. It's really adding on to that hard work. If you putting in the extra work behind the scenes with watching film and putting in the work physically, mentally, it just all gonna connect for your result.
So with all of this, what piece of advice would you give yourself when you were 15 years old?
So advice that I would give myself when I was 15.
Yep.
Never give up, and keep proving the doubters wrong. But most importantly, stay in your academics. That's the most important for kids nowadays, is just stay academically strong, because again, knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you off. And it's just, sometimes it's who you know, but again, the more you know, knowledge is power, man. Stay in your books, stay in your academics.
I would say that knowledge is potential power. Just because if you don't use it, it's like that power. Like there's no power if you don't use it.
It is potential power if you don't use it. I like that. I might got to take that one, JP.
Words. So, what is the biggest challenge you have overcome? The one that you're most proud of?
Biggest challenge I have overcome. I had to sit out a season, man. I had to sit out a season from what I love for what I've done. It was like a self-inflicted wound, most in a sense. So I would say, like, still had to show up to practice. It's like you're one of those scout guys, but it was like I had a suspension basically, and I couldn't even play my sport that I wanted to do. So it's like how they say, fail. You fail, are you going to be able to get back up? You know, I had to fight adversity like for real. You feel me? And it really surreal. Then again, I was a starter my whole life, so getting my second year there and having to sit out, it was very crucial and life changing for me. And that's really started PHP. I feel like in a sense, so it was all God's plan. But I just stayed prayed up, stayed persistent in my craft, and follow my process. I'm still trying to get to my prize. You know what I'm saying?
So do you feel it was a failure?
In a sense, yeah. For my challenge, yeah, I was a failure. In a sense, but you only a failure if you stay down. So I can't say that. You're only a failure if you give up and give in. If you get back up, you got another shot. That's the good thing about life. Even though that you don't know how much time you've given, if you get back up and you keep going at it, you try again, man, you can knock down walls, man.
So it wasn't a failure.
No,
It's
always
only
fight adversity, always stand back up, push yourself back up, and persevere. But I feel like in the certain situation that I faced, I was a failure in that moment, in that instance. Mentally, I was like, oh, I'm done. I can't play the season. I'm done. I'm failed. I'm depressed. I'm sad. No, I had to look at it from a different perspective. This is for a reason. Get your body, you know what I'm saying? Get right. Lock in, do everything the right way. You gotta really, that's why I say really focus, attention to detail. If you really focus and lock in, there's no such thing as failing mentally. If you're diabolical about it, if you get back up and you got perseverance, you should be able to push through anything.
What changed in your mind right there in those moments? How were you able to make that mental shift?
Really, it took a lot of sacrifice. It took a lot of sacrifice. Really not for me, but for my peers, because even though I self-inflicted myself and I couldn't play the season, I wanted to keep getting my peers better and competing with my peers and, showing up for them. They still got to go to war weekly and sacrifice. So why can't you? As a student or as a student athlete, why can't you sacrifice? You know what I mean? So that's just what it came down to. It came down to sacrifice for sure.
And it wasn't just about you. It was
No, right. You have to be selfless. You have to be selfish, in a sense, of your own craft, like improving. But when it comes to your team, you just want to get them better. That's all you want to do.
What else do you feel like you have sacrificed over this whole path?
I would say like fun time, like, how people in college, you want to go party. You might not make every event. You want to party sometimes maybe to go get the experience, but you're not going to make every event. You're not going to make all the get-togethers, but it's worth the sacrifice at the end of the day. Whatever you want to do in sight, if you really focus on that if you really focus on that, you could get to that goal or that achievement.
So does it feel as a sacrifice, or does it feel like something that you want to do, or like that you don't?
I feel like it's with it as a sacrifice because your peers, the guys you bond with may be there in that situation, your teammates that you just sacrifice with, and they want to go out, have fun together as a college environment, but you got to keep building on what you already worked on and possessed throughout the week. And maybe you're even busy or tied up where, it's just sacrifice. Sometimes you got to miss certain things that are fun and engagement to, build on it. But again, I would say live life. The more you live life, the more perspective you gain and point of view.
So in those moments, you, instead of being selfless, you were more selfish, thinking of you.
Listen, I was, because I was really working on myself to get back liberated, like to get me doing my self-inflicted wound and being suspended for a year. I was trying to be more selfish, really, even though I was selfless in a sense, because I was still communicating with my peers and being very transparent to them, and maybe even what they need or, how I could better them and how they can even better me while I'm crafting. In this dungeon time, because I'm not in the light in a sense. But the selfishness is definitely, attention to detail. Like when you're done with your day and you're completed your football, you completed your business work, and you got free time to chill, do you want to go to a party or do you want to improve mentally and, regroup and refocus.
How do you use those time to improve mentally?
So improving mentally is really like me, I'm a reader. So like if I read it, like how I just read a scripture, if I read a scripture, or if I just read something that gives me insight, or not motivation, but really um like a like a not not a perspective. It's really like a point of view. Like from that sense. You know how they say you feel one way when you're writing it, and then when that feeling subsides, what will you do? It's like that. Like, I'm a reader, so it's like when I'm mental state and I'm trying to get my knowledge and keep growing and keep pushing, I just go to my lab, and I just break down everything I need to improve on, and that's how I improve mentally. Because I feel like if you're uply spiritually and you're good on the mental side, you should just flow and be able to adapt to life. If you're not really up mentally and you're down, you're sad, you're depressed, your attitude is going to be off, and the energy is just not going to be what it's needed to be.
Do you think like everyone should read?
I mean, I feel like reading is great. You know, it helps keep you educated. I feel like reading is a fundamental you need, but that's not for everybody. Some people like audiobooks. I just feel like however way you grasp your situation is how you should do it, whatever works best for you. But me personally, I'm just a reader. Just breaking everything down. It just feels like it clips when I hear a scripture or a motivation quote or just something like that. It just gets me to click. But it's like, well, that with me in that moment, and I feel that, and I feel the words. When this feeling subsides, will I be able to put in the work and still stand on business?
So with all of the hard work that you're putting in, how do you recover? How do you use it? How do you handle the recovery?
Recovery is key. We get about 2 days, maybe really 1.5, but recovery is definitely key. We have ice baths. We got good trainers that give you deep tissue massage. And again, you really got to take accountability in your own. I got a foam roller, jump rope, stretching routine. Um, what is it? The massage gun, get your muscles. But yeah, just stretching. You're an athlete, so what I really learned as a teenager was to do something every day to make progress. If you want to be a pro athlete, you want to keep P. Just every day you should be doing something to make progress. Whether that's tension bands, just working something. Just keep your body, healthy mind.
1% better every day. How do you now, from now to the future? What are you looking for? What like what are you gonna be working 1% better to get 1% better every day for the future to achieve that dream during the next couple of years?
So I'm still going through my training regimen throughout this summer, building and just competing with my peers, my teammates this upcoming season, and just bettering yourself. Not only am I going to keep improving my brand, but that's on the solo side. Just to get to reach my dream, it's really a sacrifice. Like Kobe really said, you got to put in the work, and you gotta exhaust your body. What I'm trying to see is train insane to like not stay the same, basically. Like change up the train, yeah, train insane to not stay the same. So if you want to change and you really want to take over and wreak havoc, which is in a sense my goal, like really a game changer. Like um, I feel like you gotta look at a different perspective, a different point of view, and then you gotta attack it because action is most important.
Love it. So it was great to have you. Before we wrap up, I loved your whole story and we can learn a lot from it. But we started with the first question: what is a dream? What does it mean to have a dream? Now we've been talking a lot about compete. What does it mean to compete? What is competition? Dream to compete. Let's just finish up with what does it mean to compete? One sentence.
What does it mean to compete in one sentence? Um, what are you willing to give? What are you willing to sacrifice? To compete, to compete, you gotta give it all, man. When you challenging your peers, just real quick, I'll leave you with that caption of what are you willing to sacrifice? But when you competing with your peers, man, just give it all, 120%, 115%. Because not only are you making yourself better, but you're making them better. You're exerting everything. Like when me and JP were at Impact, you're exerting everything, every rep, and you're not competing. You're not competing against them in a sense like, oh yeah, I'm better than him, but you're competing with them. Like, yeah, come on, let's see who win this rep. Let's see who can get better today. That's what I'll leave you with, JP.